Thank you for staying with us. It is still iBrand Daybreak. And I have with me in the studio Ubong Thompson and Henry Igwebike. We've been at on this conversation for a couple of weeks now. And of course, we're continuing and furthering it. You're welcome, gentlemen. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me, Uche.
All right. We're still on the economics conversation, the Arise agenda, and everything Governor Umo Eno has in stock for the Akwa Ibom state people. However, in the front burner very recently is the Akwa Ibom dialogue. This is supposed to bring strategists together, bring experts, bring people who have an understanding of what the governor is trying to do together to have conversations. I don't know who wants to tell me what this dialogue is about. You might want to do that, Thompson.
Okay, talking about the Akwa Ibom dialogue, in the manner in which His Executive Governor of Akwa Ibom State, His Excellency Pastor Umo Eno, does his own thing, and that's why we term him the talk and do governor of Akwa Ibom State, the golden area governor, as well as the governor that has the capacity to deliver to the successful implementation of Arise agenda. He did said in some of his discussion and conversation with the people of Akwa Ibom that he's going to collate some professionals, expertise, and then people that are vested in different sectors of the economy as regards the Arise agenda program to come together, to talk about the strategy that can effectively lead to the implementation of the Arise agenda. And that is what His Excellency has been able to do. In the next week, Monday, you'll be having the Akwa Ibom dialogue, where you have great sons and daughters of Akwa Ibom in different fields coming together to dissect the Arise agenda blueprint to make sure that it becomes a workable blueprint for the good of the people of Akwa Ibom State.
So still on the dialogue, what would be the areas of focus, and what should be the expectations of this dialogue?
Well, we as an advocacy group, we are expecting the front burner to be, in a sense that the professionals gathering should be able to talk about the challenges that this Arise agenda implementation will pose, and what are the solutions that should be proffered for it to be smoothly implemented. And then, having spelled out all these challenges, profiling solution, it will give the administration of His Excellency Pastor Umo Eno to smoothly implement the Arise agenda. So we want to know, we are expecting to see them coming out with the challenges, and then if there's anything more to add or take away from the Arise agenda blueprint, we are expecting to see that.
Do you want to add anything to that?
Yes, I think just like he did say, as an advocacy group, our responsibility is to create awareness for the Arise agenda. But in creating the awareness itself, it's equally a responsibility to point out loopholes, all right, especially as it concerns the experts that are being brought together to discuss on the Arise agenda. And what are those loopholes? The loopholes basically is centered on the capacity of those who are coming to discuss this issue. It's very vital we understand that we can't keep doing the same thing and expect different results. Over the years in Nigeria, we have seen situations where we have people who are not homegrown coming to discuss issues about things that are right there in the epicenter of where things happen. A very good example Imagine bringing in an economist, a world-renowned economist, coming to talk about the challenges a market woman who sells obono goes through. Of course, he is a world-renowned economist, but the issue is, does he really understand the problem this market woman is going through? Right? So these are some of those loopholes as an advocacy group we are going to be looking at, and equally pointing to the government to get them, effectively ready to tackle the main issues, even as they're fleshing out the Arise agenda properly.
So what would you say are those main issues that you would be would be very, what's the word I'm looking for now? Because you keep mentioning there are main issues, and people who are homegrown should be able to relate to and be able to tackle it. Can you outline these issues that to you feel are the most important and should be talked about at this dialogue?
Now, let's talk about the Arise agenda. The Arise agenda has key points, from tourism to agriculture to industrialization to education and so on and so forth. Now, let me take agriculture, for example. If SMEs who are entrepreneurs in rural areas investing in agriculture, for example, they have issues they are dealing with every other time. Right now, who is the right person to understand the pain points of this rural agricultural investors? Agric extension officers, because these are people who go to the farm, these are people who get dirty, right, to understand the issues of the most commonest person in that rural community. Isn't it fair to say, maybe let's get this agricultural extension officer as one of those key people who would discuss on issues related to agriculture in this dialogue? It makes a perfect sense, because when such a person comes to that fora and discusses issues as he sees it, practically, pragmatically in the farm, then it's easier to understand how the Rise agenda can fit into helping that woman. So that's just what it is. So this is just for agriculture. For tourism too, it's still the same thing, right? Akwa Ibom State, just like we know, is a tourist haven. And the situation is, the person who is to represent tourism in that communion, is he someone who truly understands the pain points of tourism challenges in Akwa Ibom State? That is the issue. We're not doubting the capacity of such individuals, but the question is, are these people really in the know of the practical challenges that tourism, for example, goes through in Akwa Ibom State? So as an advocacy group, our main responsibility is to bring out some of these pain points, all right, so the government understands that this is a vital issue they should look into, such that if it's possible to bring in more people as part of this dialogue communion, so that the Arise agenda can be fruitful at the end of the day.
So what are the steps that are being taken, by your organization to make sure that these issues you're raising get to the right ears and to the people who should take the right decisions, especially as the dialogue is coming up? It's on Monday. What are the steps you're taking towards reaching the right persons to make sure these things happen at the event?
Now, one of them is what we're doing now, all right? And that is creating awareness. I want to believe the executive state governor, Pastor Umo Eno, is watching, and I want to believe and pray that he is listening to what we are saying. So the first step as an advocacy group is to create awareness. Let the government understand that this is an area we want to be concerned about. Then the next step we want to take is, we have, like I did talk about, extension officers homegrown in Akwa Ibom State, whom we call our foot soldiers. All right, they're already on ground, all right, and hopefully I want to believe they will be given pass, like maybe an invite pass. All right, so they can be present to see these things themselves, and if it's possible, have some sort of negotiations and counter negotiations to dialogue on some of these issues, especially as it pertains the key people who are in charge of some of these issues.
All right.
Yes.
Quickly, because we're rounding off now. Ubong, do you want to drop any final words?
Yeah, I want to say that in the implementation of the Arise agenda, we need to take into cognizance the peculiarity of our environment, the Akwa Ibom State environment, and then in any project that has to be implemented, we need to narrow it down to what the people want, not necessarily what the government wants to do for the people, but what the people truly want, to happen in their community, in their life, that will add impact, direct impact to their economic, growth. And then, in the implementation of the Arise agenda, we also understand, just like some professionals who sit in their boardroom and then draft, a strategy, but there are some hidden and unknown factors that can impede implementation of some certain, programs. So we need to dig into every community and understand those communities, how they embrace development, and see to it that if there's anything, because there has to be, negotiated with that community for them to allow, implementation of the Arise agenda project to come into fruition. They have to compromise whatsoever might be their ego, or their heritage, or their values, or their cultures, or whatsoever, because we understand, just like in Lagos, someone that is sitting down in the United Nations, for instance, telling you if you go to Lagos, you can easily get transported certain goods across the city, might not know that there's an area boy somewhere that wherever you want to go and improve lives in that community, they will pop up and ask you for one thing or the other and start placing demands. And you have to settle them to be able to penetrate such areas. So we are looking at the professionals, taking all these things into consideration.
All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for dropping by the studio. I have to let you go now, but hopefully we'll get to hear more about, all the stuff Governor Umo Eno has in stock and everything that he hopes to achieve via his administration in Akwa Ibom State in the next 4 years. Thank you so much for dropping by. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
All right, it is still iBrand Daybreak. When we return, Josh will be joining me while we bring you the next conversation. Don't go anywhere. Stay with us.